Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome to my video going over some of the new details that have surfaced from the letter from the producer live at Tokaigi. I already did a video about this event. It's mostly about the gold saucer. However, I was mostly basing that video off of the things that I could understand from the Nico Nico broadcast, whereas this is an official Q&A summary, and there's always going to be some new details that squeak through on this. So we're going to skip over most of the stuff that I already spoke about in the previous video, just talk about some of the newer tidbits of information, more questions that people have had about Triple Triad since the video that I put out a couple weeks ago. If you want to catch up on those details, you can watch my previous video, you can check out this post on the official forums, which I'll include in the description of the video. But without further ado, let's just go over the gist of what was said at the live letter at Tokaigi. So what is the gold saucer? We're not going to go over that. That's been, beaten to the ground. What are the games? Just reminding everyone. Triple Triad from Final Fantasy VIII. Chocobo Racing from Final Fantasy VII. Gold Saucer active time events. Gates. There's going to be a weekly and daily Kapppot. And there's going to be mini games that are like little quick time events. So with that right out of the way, he goes into explaining how to play Triple Triad. There's not much new information here, although there is a mention of the Triple Triad Master, which is going to be the tutorial NPC that's going to help you understand the game if you've never played Final Fantasy VIII or just never showed interest in Triple Triad in Final Fantasy VIII. He also mentions that there are going to be 5 cards you are given from the Master, and those are basically going to be your starter cards after you finish the tutorial. When it comes to obtaining cards, there's a mention of a lot of different ways to do it. About half of the cards are obtained from challenging NPCs, which is normal, but the NPC isn't guaranteed to give you the same card every time. So it's not like you're just gonna, challenge NPC, get the card, and be done. You'll probably have to go against them in multiple decks that they may have multiple times. On top of that, there are different rules that you can expect to play by. You have the all-open rule, where you can see everyone's hand. You have the same rule, which is a little bit more complex. It's pretty simple to explain, but I'll leave that for the tutorial master, or the Triple Triad master. Also, the random hand rule. There are also a bunch of, data mined potential rules. You're in for a treat if you really like the rule sets from the more complicated ones of Final Fantasy VIII. Curious about rule spreading still, about how NPCs will use these rules, but again, more information that we're just waiting for. Talk about some more about the NPCs again right here. Also, some things that they mentioned, we've prepared locations throughout ARRs here where you can gather and play against each other, such as Buscaroo Struthers. So, interested in that. I'm wondering how many areas there are and which areas will probably be the most popular. If there's one in Mordona, I imagine that's where most people will go. Although having the privacy to play at someplace like Buscaroo Struthers will probably be pretty appreciated. So they talk about how many cards they have, how to obtain them. Like I said, roughly half of them from NPCs. You have some that can only be obtained by having a lot of gold saucer points. You have ones that come from card packs. You have ones that can drop through dungeons, duties, primals, things like that. There's a lot of variety and ways to get the 80 cards in the game. One big detail, though, people have been asking is if the cards are tradable or sellable. A lot of people wondering if they'll be able to make some gil off of this. And well, the answer is no. You can trade in excess cards to the gold saucer for points if you want, but you cannot trade cards between players. This is so the collecting experience is, well, sort of exclusive to you. You collect as many as you want, and you can't just outright buy them all from somebody who's, better at it or spends a little bit more time doing it. If you want all the cards, you're pretty much gonna have to earn them, and really it's just to protect, as it says here, safeguard against players using gil to collect all the cards. So they also mentioned how many more cards they may be bringing in. They just used an example. There's nothing set in stone, but they said for the release of Heavensward, maybe they would do something like 25 cards, maybe for 3.1 another 25. So just expect cards to be added frequently to Triple Triad. So if you want to collect them all every patch, that is something that you can go out of your way and do. So they also mentioned, I thought this was pretty cool, there's looking for group symbols in the game. Somebody asked if they could do Triple Triad, looking to play Triple Triad, and so they're going to pass that along. Maybe that'll be a feature that actually gets added and used. Also mentioned the Portal app, which comes out this month in Japan. I think it might already even be out as of when I'm recording this. Not exactly sure when that's coming out, since it's coming out in Japan and not here. So that's irrelevant to most of us anyway. Then they go over Chocobo Racing, which, for the most part, we kind of already understood how this worked. Player becomes the breeder, trainer, and jockey. One question that's answered here, however, is you will not be able to bet on the races. You need to be participating in the race in order to be a part of the race. So people were wondering if you were going to be able to bet on Chocobo races, and the answer is no. Not even with gold saucer points. Wondering if they'll consider it in the future, but they were kind of against, making the gold saucer very gamble-ish to begin with. That's not a word. So I don't think it'll ever really make it in, even if it has a high demand. But there are some other features here that we got some more confirmation on, such as Chocobo Rank, when it can be bred, the way the offspring works. We knew some of that already. So they say where you'll obtain your racing Chocobo, Bent Branch Meadows, which has pretty much been Chocobo Central, if you ask me. Attributes will increase randomly when you win a race, so you're not guaranteed to get the perfect Chocobo if you follow set guidelines. You pretty much just have to keep racing and do your best. Also, in terms of controlling the Chocobo always goes forward for you. So you're not going to see somebody running down the track in the opposite way like it's your friend in Mario Kart who's upset that he's in last place and wants to red shell you in the face. That's not going to happen. But you can steer left or right, although it is delayed. You do not have necessarily like, oh, I can, you know, just dash left and right and it'll be nice and, you know, fluid. Your Chocobo will show some resistance. It's something that will probably take some getting used to, according to them. Talks about what the track is littered with. There's debuffs on the track that you want to try and avoid. There's buffs on the track, such as stamina or speed boosts. You can speed up your Chocobo using the stamina. There's items that you can collect and use. They will appear on your hotbar while you're racing, and they can be expended to, you know, whether it be to buff yourself or to try and take out other people. So other than the fact that it keeps you going forward pretty much all the time, there are a lot of little Mario Kart-esque things here. And to be honest, it's at least it's confirmation about the whole, you know, more Mario Kart-esque things where you're trying to kind of screw over your friends. And that's another big thing. Even though you can queue into a race alone, you can actually form a party of 8 and enter as well and just race with your friends, race with your free company members. That is a feature that is going to be there at launch, and it's something I didn't expect them to actually do right out of the gate. I thought that was a feature maybe people would ask about later. But the ability to set up free company events and tournaments using the system, you know, with the 8 players, I think that's a great idea. I'm glad that they decided to focus on that at the start. I think that's a really good idea. Scrolling down, they just mentioned how your Chocobo rank will increase. Chocobo feed for training can be obtained through gardening, purchased for exchange in gold saucer points. Racing Chocobos also have a rating, which will determine where they kind of belong in the queue. Like if you have a really high ranked Chocobo, you won't get placed into a queue against a really low ranked Chocobo. I'm wondering how this is going to affect queue times specifically. How much of a difference, if they all have to be the same level, if there's like a range of 2 levels or something like that. It's really going to determine how easy it is to participate in races. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be benefits to constantly retiring and re-ranking, so that should keep all the ranks generally populated, but we have to see the popularity of the feature as itself to see if that remains consistent over time. They also explain gates a little bit more. They explain the events that I spoke about in the previous video. We don't really need to go over that all too much. They do mention the rewards, though, for a lot of these things, like the mini-games and the gates, and that they're not going to be, like, worth a lot of points, like a big amount of points, but they're a nice little way while you're waiting for a Chocobo race to pop, while you're waiting for your friends to log on. Just additional things for you to really do in the gold saucer to help accumulate points and be a little bit out of the ordinary from what you're kind of used to doing in the game. Playing with a larger group of people is a great way to have fun, so I hope you all enjoy yourselves. Came right from Yoshi P's mouth. Also, mini games, they will cost points to do, and then if you do well at them, you'll get a little bit in return, but they're not meant to be like really reliable ways. It's mostly going to be Chocobo Racing and Triple Triad where you're probably going to see gold saucer points be accumulated, and that's probably on purpose to keep people interested in Chocobo Racing and Triple Triad for some time, especially with the duplicate card handing in. I'm sure that's going to be used a lot. Kapppot is also very briefly explained that there will be weekly drawings and daily drawings, and if you win and you actually take your reward within the first 3 hours, you'll get a bonus because you picked it up immediately. So they're actually adjusting it so that the time zone differences between people probably won't be a big deal. There'll be different hand-in times for Japanese data centers, for American data centers, and European data centers, and that they're going to try and make it a time where a lot of people probably would be able to go online, barring personal other issues that you may have, other plans you may have. Mini Kapppot is a daily lottery. It's pretty much the same thing. It's a scratch-off ticket, reveals a number, and then depending on the sum of the numbers, the rewards you obtain will differ. So, interested in seeing how these are really gonna work, I guess. Then we have rewards that can be obtained. They showed off a Fenrir mount, Setzer armor, a turtle mount. there's a lot of different things. Of course, you can trade in points for cards, which was already mentioned. So there's going to be a lot of different things to use your gold saucer points on. They're also planning to add a triple triad furnishing item to our houses. They said it's on the to-do list, so it's probably not going to be there at launch. And also mentioned that Yoshi P would like to create flying Chocobo race tracks when Heavensward comes out. See, he says he thinks it's easier to create courses in the air than it is on the ground, so he'd like to do that. It's probably because you have more freedom. I would love that. I had somebody ask me about that the other day, and I was like, I would love them to do that. So I hope that's something they managed to do. Somebody asked about a cactar mount. That would be a little bit ridiculous. Just keep an eye out for them. And you'll need to be at least level 15 to do triple triad. Figured they would probably have some sort of level requirement on it. Glad to see it's only level 15, so low-level players can at least be a part of it as well. And Yoshi P's favorite game is Monster Toss. So I highly recommend that if you don't know anything about the Gold Saucer coming next week, pretty much, that you take a look at this, you understand it, you just look forward to it, because I know I'm looking forward to the Gold Saucer. Let me know what you think about some of the new details that were revealed through this official Q&A summary, and be sure to check out the Q&A summary itself. Comment in the comment section of the video below. And anyway, I gotta get ready for a live stream, so I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, take care.